On this week's episode, we remember the Hell in the Cell 20 years later. Who could be going where in NBA free agency? And what is Sony thinking when it comes to the Spider-Verse? The Spider-Verse. All this and more as we reach our next stop, the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. My name is Gerald from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate you tuning in to all of our great shows. And it wouldn't be a PCC Multiverse without my good friend. He is the man, the legend, and the myth behind Humanica Media. You got to check out all the great things he's doing today, including his novel that he's just about finishing up, all the great stuff that he's recording, all the great videos on his YouTube page, and all the great podcasts that he's doing right now. It is my good friend. It's Josh Peterson. What's up, man?
Hey. Not much, man. Just sitting here getting my daily intake of political postings on Facebook and doing some podcasting, so one's better than the other. I'll let you guess which one.
Wow, what a shock that there's some political ads on social media, but we won't go there. But it's going to be a great episode we have for everyone coming up today. We've got Billy Donnelly from Intelligent Wrestling Conversation. He and I are going to be remembering the Hell in a Cell with Undertaker and Mankind. We're going to recall back to 20 years ago because today is the anniversary, as we record this, the 20th anniversary of the Hell in a Cell, one of the most famous matches in all of professional wrestling history. And he and I are going to delve into why it's so special and the effects out of that match. We're going to be talking about that a little bit later in the show. Anthony Barberin is also going to be stopping by talking about the latest in NBA free agency. It's right around the corner, and all the places where players are going to go and all the potential stops that they could make. There's some big names on the board, including LeBron James, possibly even Kawhi Leonard could be traded, Paul George, and so many other big names could go to different places, or they could stay with their own teams. We're going to talk to Anthony to find out where he thinks some of these big name players will go in NBA free agency. Josh and I are going to be talking about Sony's crazy thinking when it comes to the Spider-Verse, and also why is Bethesda going back to court again? Because they've been there so many times in the past. But first, Josh, just want to, let's get everybody up to date on what's going on in the latest and greatest in pop culture. This weekend at the movies, not only domestic, but a lot of stuff going on worldwide. Obviously, here in the U.S., we've got the latest releases are Uncle Drew and also Sicario, Day of the Soldado. Both are actually performing both are expected to perform somewhere in the mid-teens as far as a initial release here domestically in the U.S. But worldwide, people are still going gaga over The Incredibles 2 and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Your thoughts this weekend on the movies that are out there? Are we just waiting for the Ant-Man and the Wasp to come around? Because I have a feeling this is kind of like a buffer week, even though Uncle Drew and also Sicario, Day of the Soldado, Sicario, Day of the Soldado. Hold on. Yeah, Sicario, Day of the Soldado. Sicario, Day of the Soldado, if I can say that right. Soldado is something that could surprise at theaters and make not necessarily a run for the money with the two big top movies, but at least it could surprise and actually prove to be a profitable film in their own right.
Yeah, I mean, the first Sicario has fans for sure. Also, I don't think they would have gone ahead and made a second one, but I think right now with Jurassic World, which we'll need to talk about one day, uh, having made its debut in theaters, from this point forward, then the next big movie that's on people's radars to come out is going to be Ant-Man and Wasp. So between now and what is it? It's next week or the right?
July 6th.
Yeah. So between now and then, I mean, it's probably Jurassic Park will rule the box office, and I don't see anything coming out that might put that.
Jurassic World, right?
Yeah, yeah, Jurassic World. I don't see anything coming out that's going to dethrone them, so to speak, but, not that it doesn't deserve to be dethroned, but, another topic for another day. Um,
Well, that day will be this coming Monday on our big Monday show, the Pop Culture Cosmos show, because I want to hear your in-depth thoughts on Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom and whether or not it's going to take the series even further. It looks like it may do, maybe not this weekend, but by next weekend, it will do over $1 billion. And that's a great sign for Universal as well.
yeah, yeah, we'll talk about it. I got some thoughts on it, but, yeah, until Ant-Man and Wasp come out, I think that's the next big thing on people's radar, but I don't know. What do you think, with Sicario? Because I never saw the first one. I don't know about you, but, I heard good things. It's just not something I'm interested in.
Well, and that's surprising, being that you are kind of a fan of Denis Villeneuve's work, seeing how Blade Runner 2049 was our pick for the best movie of 2017. Plus, he has The Rival, which I know you and I are just like all over the place, and people should check out some of our back episodes on that one. But Denis Villeneuve actually did a great job with Sicario. I thought that was a really just tense movie, very gritty throughout. Day of the Soldado is coming out now. I plan to check it out at some point in time, but it's not a major rush to go see movie. But it's definitely something I want to follow up on, because I did check out this year Sicario, and it was well worth the wait. I thought it was really a well-made movie, and even though this movie is not going to be made by it was not directed by Denis Villeneuve himself. It is still something that has a couple of the stars returning for it. Josh Brolin and Benicio del Toro are back in their roles, and it could provide some excitement. So I definitely want to see it at some point in time. Uncle Drew, that could surprise with a lot of movie audiences out there. Look for that one maybe to exceed expectations, because of the fact that NBA is still a great topic of conversation at this point in time. But there's also other great stuff to talk about when it comes to the world of pop culture. I know the rumors are abound that they're now searching for a director for the Black Widow movie. I know that's something that a lot of people are excited about hearing. A script is already underway and being written as far as that's concerned, and it looks like that it's looking more and more each day like that's going to be a done deal. I know a lot of people got excited when pictures of Kristen Wiig, not as the cheetah, mind you, yet, but Kristen Wiig now appearing, and it now looks like the Wonder Woman 84 is going to be a big movie for Warner Brothers and DC when it comes out next year. Some of the other things that are going on, obviously, there's talk about a lot of things going on with the future of video games when it comes to the PlayStation 5 and also the next Xbox game. Halo got rewarded finally with a TV series. Halo finally got rewarded as a TV series. It's finally being picked up as a TV series by Showtime. That's some great news for Halo fans. We'll have to wait and see if it's there was really been one great miniseries out on it, and then there's been another series that really looked like it was made out of somebody's garage. So we'll have to see which version we're going to get when that comes out. And last but not least, the talk continues about Sony being reluctant to address the issue of crossplay directly with consumers, and how the fallout from that, as far as really, is getting bad, and Sony has responded with that saying that is something that they may address, but there's still no sign yet that they are going to confirm and have crossplay become a true part of the PlayStation system. So those are some things going on with pop culture at this point in time. Josh, anything you want to run down what I was talking about when it comes to pop culture, the Black Widow movie, Sony, or anything else that you want to talk about as far as that's concerned before we head out to a break? Before we head on out on this segment?
Yeah, yeah, as far as the Black Widow movie goes, I'm actually pretty excited about that. I don't really she's never been my favorite character, but I like the idea of seeing where they go with a solo story featuring her. Also, we I don't know if we talked about this, but Toys R Us, this is its last week in business and then it will be disappearing for good.
That's right, in North America. I believe abroad it's still available. I think in Canada, I'm not sure about the UK, but I believe abroad that people have said over social media that it still will be active at least for the short term.
Right, and I know there's a company trying to bring it back, or the former CEO of Toys R Us is trying to bring it back here. So we'll see what happens. I would love to see KB Toys come back into malls, but who knows what's gonna go on down the line.
Who knows? Indeed, I would like to see a brick and mortar toy store of some type be something that people can go to continuously, instead of just trying to have to depend on either Walmart, Target, or going online to an Amazon and whatnot here domestically in the United States. But we'll definitely have to wait and see if that's even viable, because obviously if it wasn't viable for Toys R Us and they were the name in standalone toy selling, then who could come along and try to do different? We'll have to wait and see if that's going to be the case down the road, that someone's going to come in and bring back to life the toy store experience in and of itself. So we'll wait and see on that. But that is some great things going on to catch you up with pop culture at this point in time. But we're going to be coming right back here with Anthony Barberin talking about the NBA free agency, which is right around the corner this weekend. I'm so excited to know where everybody's going to go. He's going to share his thoughts coming up in a sec. But first, we have Carrie O'Sullivan Holmes. She sent this into us right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. And if you're an independent music artist and you want to have your song played, send it to us, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. But this is I Love You the Most from, forgot her name already, from Carrie O'Sullivan Holmes. And this is the Pop Culture. And this is the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with the PCC Multiverse. Just gotta let you know out there, we're on radio 7 days a week. If you need a list or a sketch, if you need to look at our schedule and find out exactly which days are best to you to listen to the show on either online radio or now on Monday nights, we're on FM as well. So check it out today at Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook or at Pop Culture Cosmo on Twitter. Josh, speaking of us on radio, I want to give a big shout out to Isaac at Youth Jam Radio. He actually took our show. If you're in Australia, you got to check out Youth Jam Radio. Our Thursday night show where we're on, he actually broke it up into segments, and it's now spanned out over a 2-hour period, mixed in with a whole bunch of great pop music. So that's just awesome. How do you like the fact that it goes from Josh Peterson talking about the latest in pop culture, and it goes right into possibly even a Taylor Swift song?
Ooh, that's honestly like something that I never expected to happen or think about. So, if it's a flattering Taylor Swift song, I mean, I guess I'm okay as long as the song's not about me, which it isn't. So, there's that. But yeah, weird things do happen.
But it's great that actually it's very innovative and great how he's taken our show and into doing that. So if you want to check out the Pop Culture Cosmos show that we drop every Monday in a different type of feel, check out Youth Jam Radio Thursday nights on check it out, the Pop Culture Cosmos show Thursday nights in Australia, Thursday night Australia time, I believe 7 p.m. on Youth Jam Radio. It's a great 2-hour show. It's our show's spliced up and with along with a lot of great music added. So definitely cannot thank Isaac enough for doing that. Plus, also we're on, like I said, over the air FM radio on KBOG every Monday night as well. Monday night at 10. So definitely a great time indeed to be listening to us. Or you can check out our Facebook page, Pop Culture Cosmos, and get a list of all of our awesome podcast networks. Josh, what you got going on, my friend, with your awesome experience known as Humanica Media? I know there's a lot of great news, including what's the latest on Topicocalypse.
Yeah, we made it to the feature page on Podbean, and also we're up on Spotify now, which is create a nice little spike in downloads. So if you haven't had a chance yet, please go check out the Topicocalypse page on either Podbean or iTunes or Google Play or Stitcher or any of your preferred podcasting outlets. We'd be incredibly grateful. But we just put up an episode about commencement speakers, and I asked the guys, hey, remember back when you were graduating high school or college, what would you have wanted to be told? Would you wanted to have some guy up there just blowing rainbows up your backside, or would you have wanted to be told, hey, life gets tough. You might not end up being what you want to be, but you know, you're alive and there's always hope. You always have the opportunities to climb higher up the ladder. So we debate on that. It's a good episode. We don't really reach any conclusions because we're all kind of divided on it, but I would definitely check it out. But that's it.
That's awesome. And speaking of Spotify, the Pop Culture Cosmos channel is now available on Spotify. So you're going to get all the great things that are coming to all the great things that we have on our channel, including the Pop Culture Cosmos show, the PCC Multiverse, and all of the PCC Present shows. Those are going straight to all you great Spotify users. So if you love Spotify and you're out there and you love the Pop Culture Cosmos, they are now one and together as well, along with Topicocalypse. So check them out today, the Topicocalypse and Pop Culture Cosmos channel on Spotify. My friend, Sony, we talked about a little bit earlier when it comes to their reluctance for the PlayStation 4 to go multi-platform as far as cross-play and be able to play nice when it comes to an online experience with other console players. They're just not having a good week, my friend, because they are just going into it full board with the Spider-Verse, and now they announced that Jared Leto is going to be by the way, actually podcast.com is down, to let you know right now. And because Sony just announced that Jared Leto will play Morbius in a Spider-Man spin-off movie. According that Jared Leto is going to play Morbius, Spider-Man, as far as going into the Spider-Verse a little bit more. We've talked about this before, my friend. It's really gone haywire when it comes to their thinking. And we don't even know how well or how successful the Spider-Verse is going to be, because we are not exactly of the highest opinion that Venom, which is the next movie in the Spider-Verse, is going to do very well at all. So I ask you, Josh, how can Morbius with Jared Leto, Miles Morales movie, a Black Cat movie, a Silver Sable movie, or even another movie that they've talked about that they're going to be looking into developing, Silk, what are all these characters going to be doing with their own spin-off movies in a Spider-Verse if the first real movie, as far as a spin-off is concerned, Venom, doesn't do so well?
I think that Sony's kind of like DC right now, the DCU, in the fact that they keep announcing things. Whether or not we're going to see them, I don't know. Venom took very little time to create, so that's what kind of worries me about it. But what they're doing is they're isolating Spider-Man. So, they make all these movies, they're building a universe using those characters to build a universe, much like what Marvel and Warner Brothers has, and they're doing it without Spider-Man. So they're isolating their main character because as long as Spider-Man's under contract with Sony, then they can't use him, I guess, unless there's some kind of contract negotiation. But they're taking all these characters and they're creating this universe, and it's not going to have Spider-Man. So what happens when Marvel wants to use Venom or Morbius or Doctor Octopus or any of these characters or Silver Sable? Like, these are all key Spider-Man characters. They're part of what makes his comic book so great, and they're basically setting it up so unless there's some kind of contract negotiation, they can't use them. And I'm not a huge fan of that because while I like the idea of Marvel spinning up new Spider-Man characters for him to fight, I'm not a big fan of him not being able to use the things that made his universe so interesting. So that's what kind of irks me about this. But we don't know what's going to be put into production, what's not. I guess the Morbius thing is real. But here's what bothers me about the Morbius thing is that though he was a conflicted villain, he was still a villain. He was never an anti-hero, not in the comic books. Kind of like how there for a while back there was talk of what's his name? Oh, shoot, I'm having a brain fart. The Hunter Kraken, that's his name?
Craven.
Craven, yeah, sorry. Craven, they're like, Craven's gonna get his own movie starring, Antonio Banderas or something like that. I don't remember who was supposed to star in that, but he was never an anti-hero either. He's just a conflicted villain, but that's just like, why? Why do we need it? Who in their right mind said, "Hey, I wanna watch a Morbius movie," because there's Blade, there's all Marvel's working on bringing back Blade, so who I don't know, man. Like, I have all these characters I have no desire to see. They're trying to create a universe, a joint universe, and it's not without Spider-Man. Spider-Man is what makes his villains interesting. If not for Spider-Man, they'd just be villains, but Spider-Man is what brings that extra dimension to these characters, and without him, I just don't see this going anywhere.
And that brings me up to this point. We obviously got the we got the announcement last week, well, in a leaked fashion, quote unquote. And I say that because at this time it was actually planned by Tom Holland, where he leaked the title for the next movie that's currently underway in production, which is Spider-Man Far From Home. In this movie or subsequent Spider-Man movies, should these characters be introduced in that world first and then test so that you can test the market to see if there's actually enough fan interest and great response with these characters before you decide to say, hey, let's go spin it off on our own?
Yeah, usually. I mean, that's another thing too. They're making a big assumption by thinking that these characters are gonna do well on their own. But, like I said, even with like Black Cat and Silver Sable, it was their relationship to Spider-Man. Not to say that a female can't carry her own movie in the Spider-Man verse, but it was their relationship to Peter Parker and Spider-Man that made it such like a fun, interesting dynamic. So they're just nobody here's the thing too, like, people know who Spider-Man is. Unless you watch the cartoon in the 90s, you're only gonna be mildly familiar with some of these villains, and some people might not be familiar with them at all. So going out and having them make their own movies without having the character that brings them all together in them, I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think it's a good idea for marketing, and I don't think it's going to reach the fans that they're hoping it will, especially with Sony's history of crashing and burning everything having to do with Spider-Man.
And what we see right now going on with Venom, you and I both have not been impressed what we've seen so far from the Venom movie as far as the trailers are concerned. And if it continues down that road, then you've got some serious issues going on with Venom being a quality movie when it finally comes out later this year, which could lead into the same problems you had last year with Universal thinking that they were going to go ahead and make that Monsterverse with even more well-known names from the Monsterverse, like Creature from the Black Lagoon, Dracula, that whole nine yards. You have, like you said, names here in the Spider-Verse that are much, much, much less known as, like you said, with Black Cat, Silver Sable, Silk, which, like I said earlier, is now something that could be, which is now something that is now in development as well. So I'm really just scratching my head saying, hey, let this thing play out first with Venom. Let this thing play out with Spider-Man Far From Home. Let these movies just see if they can go ahead and connect with an audience. Put these characters in the movie with them first before you go ahead and decide to go say, hey, let's go ahead and make a movie with them on our own. But like I said, like we've suggested before, they are becoming more and more like DC every day, and they're just throwing all that stuff out there and seeing if it sticks. So that's not the best way to go ahead. That's not the best way to go ahead and try to attempt to match Marvel with their own Marvels, with your own cinematic universe. So I don't know. That's just really not the way you should approach a cinematic universe. What are your thoughts out there on the Spider-Verse that's upcoming? Would you be excited to see solo movies for Venom, Miles Morales, Black Cat, Silver Sable, and Silk, along with Mobius, which was just announced with Jared Leto coming along the way as well? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanica Media, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. Love to hear your thoughts on it, because really it's kind of perplexing that they're going ahead and already putting all this interest into creating a cinematic universe when they have really not a great history with these characters already established. So, well, like I said, we'll have to wait and see. Coming up next, we've got Billy Donnelly from the Intelligent Wrestling Conversation. He and I are going to be sharing thoughts on the 20-year anniversary of the Hell in a Cell match between Undertaker and Mick Foley. And then right after that, we'll have some closing thoughts with Josh and I on Bethesda and why are they going back into the courtroom once again. This is the PCC Multiverse. And we're back to close out the show. This is the PCC Multiverse. Thanks so much again to Billy Donnelly of Intelligent Wrestling Conversation. Also as well, Anthony Barberin, our NBA man in the know. If you have any thoughts for the show, any questions, or you'd like to just go ahead and just tell us how we're doing, share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, hey, if you like our show, please give us a 5-star rating, because we are all over the place that you can rate our show. Podchaser, the new Google Play app, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, and so many other major audio outlets. Josh, as we close out the show, my friend, want to talk Bethesda real quick, or actually you wanted to talk Bethesda real quick, because it looks like they're going back to court again. And this is a company that over the past 20 or so years has gone to court quite a bit if they feel that their properties are being threatened in any way.
Yeah, they're oh, sorry, I'm like my brain is shutting off. It's the
Fallout Shelter deal.
Fallout Shelter. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's so Fallout Shelter. The good people over at Warner Brothers made a Westworld game, and it mimics almost exactly the mechanics of Fallout Shelter. And I guess like it, they're calling it a blatant ripoff because it uses code from Fallout Shelter, because it was a former employee at Bethesda, one of the designers of Fallout Shelter, helped create this game for Warner Brothers. So it's, this is one of those cases that is a little more, seems a little more cut and dry, but like you were saying, Bethesda has been through a lot of court cases in the past 10 years or even before that. And the most ridiculous of which is the that game, Kickstarter game, Pray for the Gods, which was they got mad because Prey was spelled Prey. So it's just weird because like when do you have a monopoly on a word, and like what is with Bethesda? Like all of these things that they why go to court over such minuscule things? Well, I just want to get your thoughts on it.
Well, like you said, with Pray for the Gods, that's just ridiculous. That shouldn't be something that they need to go court over. There's no type of confusion with it. That game was a small indie game, and it really didn't connect with audiences in a large way. And in no way was there any type of confusion with Prey, which came out and reached a much larger audience, and which got pretty good reviews and decent sales. Whether or not it leads to a expansion of the Prey series, we'll have to wait and see. But that one's just, come on. I understand what they're talking about with this one. Like you said, it looks pretty cut and dry with the the code being taken from Fallout Shelter. But it's just a history with Bethesda that if you cross them in any way, shape, or form, they're just going to go to court on you. And they are very, very protective of all their properties, which I guess you can say is a good thing. And for other games or game makers out there, it's not necessarily the best thing that they can go ahead and try to even emulate in any way, shape, or form anything that Bethesda puts out.
Yeah, I mean, there are some things that, yeah, you should go to court over, and other things it just seems like a waste of time, money, and just resources in general to do it. But um, in this case, yeah, this is definitely something you should be going to court over because they're using your not intellectual properties, but the mechanics behind your intellectual properties to do this. But um, I don't know. There's a lot of this going on in the gaming world too, though. You have the PUBG Corporation versus Fortnite, which is always a thing, and then
Well, that dropped out. PUBG finally dropped their lawsuit on Fortnite this past week, so they either settled out of court or PUBG just thought is at this point in time was not worth fighting for.
yeah, no, I was reading that today, but it's just there's a lot of things because I guess with video games it's hard because who has the right to own what, like a first person shooter. If a company comes out with another first person shooter, back in the day, how did they solve that? Like, oh, that's our style game, but it's actually just a genre of game. There's a lot of things that can be sued over, like, like I said, it's like Prey, like who claims the word, who claims the spelling, like what is that? But it's just where's the line drawn? I'm just curious. I like to read these court cases with all this stuff, but I don't know. It's just the whole thing with Bethesda is just interesting because sometimes they go to court over things that should be gone to court over, and other times it's just stupid things.
I agree with you on that, but let us not cross Bethesda because that could be bad if we ever tried to make a Pop Culture Cosmos mobile game that looks a lot like Fallout Shelter. What are your thoughts out there on Bethesda just going to court over a lot of stuff out there? Do you think they're a little bit court happy, or do you think it is justified in the way they protect all of their IPs and licenses? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanity Media, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. So Josh, it's been a great episode. Speaking of Westworld, have you caught up on Westworld yet?
I have not. I gotta just pick a day here in the next couple of weeks and just sit down and watch it.
Absolutely. I got to finish off. I know it ended on another crazy. I got to finish it off myself. I know it finished on another crazy note here for season 2, and definitely got to go ahead and talk about that at some point in time because Westworld, is it becoming a major entity of its own that people have to watch and can't miss, like Game of Thrones? The answer to that is kind of up in the air, but we'll share more thoughts on it when we go ahead and nail down all those rest of those episodes for you coming up real soon. So for Josh Peterson, and like I said, look forward to our Monday show that's being played all over the place look for our Monday show because we're going to be talking not only what happened this weekend in pop culture, but also as well give everybody thoughts on Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom as well. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.